Welcome to Conservation Unfiltered, a podcast all about the North American model of conservation and your chance to dive into conversations about trends, research, and outdoor activities. It's time to get wild with the 2021 Conservation Media Award-winning host, Jason Creighton. Welcome back to another episode of the Conservation Unfiltered podcast presented by Conserve the Wild. I'm your host, Jason Creighton, and this is episode number 145, Hunting, Fishing, Conservation, and Giving Back. Today, I'm talking with Kevin Singleton of Yearning Wild. Kevin grew up hunting and fishing in southern New York State, worked as a teenager in the boatyard on the Hudson River, and is now the owner of a 2% certified business that focuses on healthy dog treats and chews. During the conversation, Kevin dishes on what it was like to work in a boatyard, his thoughts on mentored youth hunting, and why he focuses an outdoor lifestyle for his family. He also fills us in on his business, why he's giving back to conservation, and what it means to be 2% certified. Hey, welcome back, everyone, and welcome to today's guest, Kevin Singleton. Kevin, how you doing today?
I'm good today, good today. How are you, Jason?
I'm doing really good. It's as we're recording this, it's hunting season here in Pennsylvania and in New York, where you are. Always seems to put me in a better mood whenever I have a very defined reason to get out into the woods and the fields and sort of let my mind relax. Do you sort of think the same way? Does that sort of hit you the same way?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're just waking up in the morning and just the chill in the air, the leaves fall, and it just knowing what's in store for the season is just definitely puts me in a better mood.
Yeah, I always find it amazing. Like this past Saturday, went out archery hunting, woke up at like 4:30 in the morning, had coffee, was good to go, didn't feel tired, like I was excited. And then, this morning, we're recording this after a work day. This morning, I didn't wake up until, 5:30, almost 5:45, and I felt tired all day. It's amazing how hunting can make me not tired, but work makes me feel tired.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way, man. It's I don't know what it is. It's something mental. It's just about. I mean, it's probably the fresh air too, and just being out in nature. I think just does something for you that you don't get other places.
I agree 100%. Now, one of the things I mentioned in the intro that you had given me some previous information about yourself, right? So I could introduce you. And I always let the guests tell me what they want me to say because you know yourself the best. And one of the things that you mentioned that I made sure to include was that you worked on a boatyard on the Hudson River. I need to know more about this job. What was it that you were doing?
I did a lot. Really, what I did was I worked for a man that owned a boatyard on the Hudson River, and he also had a bunch of other ventures. He was also, a landlord and owned a lot of property in the area. But we did a lot. I did a lot of the grounds maintenance. I worked my way up. I started there when I was 14, doing summers. I did that. And we did a lot of what I did too was junking boats. We it was a scrapyard as well, so we took a lot of boats apart. But anything, I mean, we did dock maintenance. I helped work on boats with the mechanic, painting boats, cleaning boats, detailing boats, all types of stuff.
So did that give you like a love for boats? Like you want to own a boat and you want to be fishing and on the water a lot? Or did it have the opposite effect? And you're like, you know what? I don't need to own a boat. I know how much work goes into it.
Exactly. It was the opposite. I had zero desire after that to own a boat. I wanted friends that had boats. That was the best thing I could do is have friends and family members that have boats and use theirs and help out in any whatever way I can. But it's just the work and the money and everything that goes into it. I'm just as happy fishing for sure. You know what I mean? Or in my kayak,
Listen,
and it's something without a motor.
I hear you because, I worked at a country club, cutting grass on a golf course, all through high school and a little bit into college. And it's like pulling teeth to get me to cut my own grass at my house. Like when you do something so much, you're like, I just don't want to do it anymore. Like this isn't fun. Um, so I get that, and I think about, the old adage that, the two happiest days of a boat owner's life is the day they bought a boat and the day they sold it.
Yeah, I can tell you that firsthand from a lot of people I witnessed to come right down. They buy one right from the marina I'm in, and then by the end of the season, they can't wait to get rid of it, and they're happy to sell it to the next guy.
All right. So, like me, we're both, similar in age here. And what that means is when we grew up, you weren't allowed to start hunting until you were 12. Um, Now we have these sort of mentor hunts and kids, sometimes on social media, you're seeing kids as young as like 5 and 6 that are shooting deer or something like that. What are your thoughts on that? How do you Are you resentful because that opportunity wasn't given to you? Do you think it's like a great thing to get more kids outside? I mean, what are your thoughts on the matter?
I think it's really circumstantial. Generally speaking, I think the younger kids can get involved, the better. Um, you got to take a lot into consideration though about who's taking them out, and obviously the younger the kids are, the more potential safety concerns there are. Um, but I think some of these other states are doing it right. That are letting them do it younger. Um, uh, my opinion is, for example, here in New York, um, you can't hunt until you're 12, but you can get a trapping license and you can trap at any age. As long as you can pass that trapping course and pass that test, you can trap. Now you can't use a firearm to dispatch the animals, as if you're under 12, but you can go trap under 12. So I feel like something like that, where if you can show proficiency, and you understand the safety, and especially maybe like a mentorship program. I mean, you already have to be with an adult when you're 12 to be hunting in New York. I'm sure it's the same way in Pennsylvania. Um, I just feel like it's more of a proficiency thing and just a situational thing where I almost feel like there shouldn't even be an age limit on it as long as things are being done properly and safely, and they can prove that they know what they're doing.
Yeah, what, I agree with you for the most part. There's just one part for me personally that I feel like the whole aspect of having to wait until you're 12. Like I remember just the anticipation and the excitement for years whenever I was 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. I wasn't allowed to hunt. My dad was going to camp. He was coming home with deer. He was coming home with turkey. And just the excitement of knowing that, like, okay, 4 years. Okay, now it's 3 years and I can hunt. And
Mhm.
then, and so that, to the point where, you know, um, when I would in Pennsylvania, as long as you will turn 12 during that current hunting season or that next hunting season, you can take the hunter ed course. So I was 11 in the fall. I took a hunter ed course. I turned 12 in February, and like literally within 2 days, I had my hunting license in my hand, which I could effectively do zero with. There's no hunting season really that I
Yep.
could participate in February. But when May came around in our spring turkey season, I remember my dad like taking me out of school to go spring turkey hunting with a friend, and we weren't successful, but just the amount of excitement that was able to be built up because I couldn't go for so many years and wanted to go. Um, I feel like that just really put a lot of um, it really turned me into this person that was very passionate about hunting at a very young age. Now, I'm not saying that, getting kids out whenever they're younger, won't create that same passion. It's just for me, it worked. So I'm always curious on, with other people that have kids, like are you starting to try to introduce your kids? Your kids are 5. Are you trying to introduce them into the idea of hunting and trapping and things like that?
Absolutely. Um, I'm already starting. I haven't brought them out to the field yet, as far as hunting goes, but they love to go hiking. When we go hiking, they love to bring some calls along with them just to mess around with. They call it hunting, They don't really. My son loves to just hit a crow call in the middle of the woods for no reason. He gets so excited for it, even if you don't hear anything coming back. But going back to being 12 and the anticipation leading up to it, that was big with me too, personally. I was almost the exact same situation. I My birthday is in February, and same thing in New York, where if you're 11, you can take your hunter safety course at 11, but you can't get your license till you're 12. So I took it at 11. My uncle brought me to his gun club, which I'm a member of now, um, to take the course. Took the course, and then that coming February, like a day or two, or it might have even been on my birthday. My father might have taken me. It was within a couple of days of my 12th birthday. I got the license, and again, like you, there wasn't much going on. But my dad and my uncle did take me to for a walk in the woods with the 22 for squirrels, and we didn't get anything. But it was just awesome to be able to finally walk in the woods and hold a firearm. And actually have that potential to, who knows, I might see a squirrel come out of a nest today and get an opportunity. So that anticipation and leading up to it for the years coming up, it worked for me, similar to what you're saying. Um, I do feel though with certain people, certain kids, they might even start to lose interest by that time. Um, I just feel like the older we get, the younger kids are when they start figuring out what they're doing with their friends and sports and even getting into trouble these days. And I feel like the earlier you can get them more involved in it, the better chance you have of them really sticking to it. I don't really have anything to back that up. That's just my personal opinion on that.
Yeah,
Um,
it definitely seems like kids are sort of growing up faster these days, right?
Absolutely,
Than when we were younger. And honestly, just look at childhood pictures. Like
yeah,
you got kids that are 6 years old that look more in style than I looked at 18. Like
absolutely.
it just feels like they're growing up faster these days.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm sure the all the technology and the phones and the social media and all that kind of stuff is helping with that. Push people right along. So that's why I feel like it's more important now than it was when we were kids, to get them hooked young. And there's obviously other things you can do besides getting them out in the woods hunting. Because I mean, kids can tag along with you in New York as on any hunting trip as long as they're not assisting in the hunt and all, and that includes making any calls or anything like that, or even using binoculars to help you spot animals. There's nothing against, there's no law in New York against me bringing my son into the turkey blind with me, as long as he's not using any of the calls and obviously doesn't touch a firearm or a ball or anything like that. So there are ways like that where you can still get them kind of involved. Um, but even just hiking, like I said before, I feel like it can start at such a young age. I recently read Stephen Ranella's new book, outside indoor kids and oh no outside kids in the indoor world, and he had a lot of good points in there. And another book I read recently was The Last Child in the Woods by Richard Louv, which both had some great points about just starting a love for nature and an appreciation for nature and the outdoors at such a young age that can be as simple as just learning the birds at your bird feeder, um, catching bugs outside, little things like that. Just get kids involved and want to be outside more and just more interested in the wild outside, and that's been working well with my children. My kids will do anything to go outside and try to catch a frog. Or even a bug in the house. Like they're just anything that's moving is alive. They're all about it. They love their bird feeders. And I feel like stuff like that, just anything to get them outside, away from the screens, away from, the comfort of the indoors and just letting them explore. I think just something like that starts them so young and it helps foster that appreciation.
Yeah, I find it interesting that you mentioned Ranella's book because when he announced that he was, that the Meteor team was working on this book and they were going to put it out, I had just recently found out I was going to be a father,
Okay.
not too long before that. So, I pre-ordered the book. I feel like I had a pretty good idea of some things I could do to try to instill a love for the outdoors in my son. But, I'll always take tips. I'll always look for new things, and there were some great points in there about it's not just hikes and taking them on hunts, which are sort of like the big easy thing, or
Yeah.
taking them fishing. It was like little things like go to your city park or your town park and identify the flowers that are there and that kind of thing. Um, I mean, my in-laws live in suburbia, and every night that we go there for dinner once a week, there's deer in the backyard, and I just anytime there's deer, I pick him up. Do you want to see the deer? And
Yeah, yeah,
I let him look through the window and see the deer, and I tell him he has to be
yep.
quiet or he's going to scare the deer. And we've done that for almost a year and a half now, and it's at a point now where he like sort of quiets down a little bit. And when I say, do you want to see the deer, he gets excited. So it's just doing little things like that can sort of instill that love of nature. So talking about family and all that stuff, I mean, you have a family that's slightly older than mine, 4 years or so. I mean, what's it like balancing an outdoor lifestyle and family and things like that?
It's gotten pretty tough the last couple of years. Um, Between work, I work a full time job, and I usually work overtime on top of that there. And then I also have a side business, and then I have the kids. Two twins, boy girl twins that will be 5 in December. Um, and the dog in the house, and it's there's not a lot of free time at all, to be honest. So I try to go when I get the opportunities, take advantage of them. And I know that it's kind of just like a not a phase, but it's just like a temporary thing right now with the kids being so young, because the way they've been, the interest they've been showing. I know once they get a little bit older, they're going to be my excuse to get out more. Like it's not. I'm not going hunting for me. I'm going out because the kids want to go. Um, Same thing with fishing and all that kind of stuff. They love. We're lucky enough where we live near a lake. It's if I can walk from the house, it's about 10 minutes. I mean, there's a little dock down there at our lake access, and we go fishing down there with the kids. And that's a lot of it is just tied in with them, and it's just for these next few years until they're old enough where they can sit still a little bit longer, and where maybe I can cut down on the overtime work a little bit, and just things a little bit easier at home. Um, I'm sure that my time outdoors will start increasing back to what it used to be. But right now, it's just trying to find a balance between it all.
Yeah, it's about, that I liken it to an investment, right? Like
Yep.
maybe I'm hunting less, maybe I'm going to camp less right now, but and then I know in a couple years I'm gonna hopefully, through building this interest in outdoors, maybe take him out and sit in the blind. And I know it might only last 45 minutes, right?
Yep.
But
Yep.
that's an investment so that hopefully in the future, maybe he doesn't necessarily want to come hunting with me. I'm not the kind of person that's going to push. I don't want to be the dad that
Yep.
pushes something on him. But if he just enjoys the outdoors, like we don't have to hunt together. We can go hike together. If he wants to be big in the fishing, great. Let's go fish together. If it's
Yep.
bird watching, great. Like whatever it is, like just as long as it's outside, I'll feel like I was successful as a parent in developing a love of something that will benefit my son for, the rest of his life.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you. I look at it the same way. I don't want to push it. I'm not going to push it. I'm going to try to encourage it. I'll try to foster that appreciation for the outdoors, nature and wildlife just as a whole, and we'll see where it goes. If the kids want to hunt, then the kids come hunting with me. If they don't want to hunt, they don't hunt. It's not a big deal. But like you said, I hope that it's some sort of appreciation of the outdoor world, and wanting to spend time out there doing whatever it is, whether it's bird watching, hiking, whatever, as opposed to wanting to sit inside and play video games all day or something like that. You just gotta. I know me personally. I'm already planning when I do finally take them out. I'm not going to plan on having a successful hunt in terms of harvesting anything. Um, it's gonna, like you said, it's gonna be more like an investment. If I go out there with the mentality of I'm going to hang out with the kids in the blind, who knows? You never know what can happen. But I'm not planning on anything happening today except answering some questions. We'll have some fun with the calls. Whatever, and it might only last a half an hour, 45 minutes. But as a parent and a hunter, I feel like if I'm okay with that before I go out, then it's going to be enjoyable for me and it's going to be enjoyable for the kids.
Yeah, it's
If I
just
keep those,
it's that redefining the term success.
yes, absolutely.
Well, one of the things you mentioned, as we were sort of talking about, balancing, the whole outdoor lifestyle with all responsibilities that you have is you mentioned sort of, this other job that you have, and you said sort of like the side job, other job. You have a whole company, right? Like Yearning
Yeah.
Wild, or you just started your own company, Yearning Wild Treats and Chews. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So, as if my life wasn't hectic enough between the full time job that I was working about probably 60 hours a week, give or take on average, plus the twins, um, then and the dog. COVID hit, and we decided that we were going to start our own little side business here. So basically, what we did, it started off of actually what it really started from was I had gotten a gift card from my brother-in-law about 2 years before for I don't know, it was my birthday or Christmas or something like that. And long story short, I wound up buying a dehydrator with that gift card because I wanted to start making my own jerkies and stuff like that. I never really messed around with that, so I got that. Started making some of that stuff. Then I started making things for the kids, fruit and vegetable type stuff, like healthier snacks, like dehydrated banana chips and strawberries and blueberries and stuff like that. The kids loved them, so I kept making them. And I started looking into, I wonder what kind of what things that I'm making here that the dog could eat too. So I started doing my research on dogs, say fruits, vegetables, meats, all that kind of stuff. I started diving into making my own homemade dog treats for our dog. Um, so the treats that started out as kid treats then started turning into dog treats. And then I started just doing some more research on, if it would be profitable and a fun venture to and doable to start selling these dog treats that I was making. So basically, I did my research, and it's a lot more involved than I'm sure most people that don't do it would think. Um, but I decided we were going to go for it. So we started making some dog treats and formed a legal business back. This would be, I guess, 2020 now. It's September 2020. We formed a business. Um, named it Yearning Wild Treats and Chews. Um, and yeah, we just started doing our treats, and I had to do all these certifications and stuff. Come to find out that you can't just make treats and sell them. Like I thought it would have been something more like cottage law. For example, like these people that go to sell at farmers markets and stuff. Um, because that's what I was going to do, and that's what a lot of people do. They do this, and turns out that it's a whole big thing through the state. The treats are pet food is regulated federally. Pet treats are regulated by your state Department of Agriculture. So I had to go through the Department of Agriculture and get all my treats approved. We currently offer 4 varieties that are all approved by the state. And because they're jerky style treats, I had to also have them my stuff approved by my recipes approved by food scientists. So I had that approved. I went through Cornell University's food science program, had them test out all my procedures that I do, the way I make my treats. They had to approve all that, sign off on it, had to pay them, and then I have to register every year with the state, New York State. I have to send in my labels. I have to send my stuff out to a lab to get analyzed for all the breakdown of all the protein and fats and all that kind of stuff. They need to approve everything. I need to pay my yearly registration fees on each treat. Um, and once we started getting in that deep, I figured let's just keep going. So we invested in some more dehydrators. We started going around to different markets. We do farmers markets. We do a lot of big events. We do some dog adoption events. We'll sell out. We do the Orvis Game Fair every year. That's a huge one. And we set up and we sell our stuff. We have our treats that we sell. We also sell antler chews. We got a lot of different sizes and shapes and whatever of elk antler chews. We do caribou antler chews, moose antler chews, white-tailed deer antler chews. Um, and then I just started messing around now with making crafts basically out of antlers. So now we got some human treats on the side now too. We got one table of all our dog stuff, and then we got a table with bottle openers, bottle stoppers, keychains, necklaces, stuff like that with various types of antlers. So that's what we're working on now.
So while a lot of people started a pandemic hobby, you really went for it. Swinging for the fences with going through all the rigmarole of statewide stuff that you had to figure out. In all of that, at some point, you decided to become 2% certified. Uh, why?
So I always kind of wanted to do something on my own, like some kind of business, whether it's more of a hobby business or a big business. Um, and I was listening to the Meat Eater podcast a few years back, and they had Jared Frazier on there from 2% for Conservation. He was the guest for the day, and I listened to the whole podcast, and I thought that's a really cool idea. Can't believe nobody else has done this yet up until this point. And if I ever get to the point in my life where I do start a business doing something, I didn't know what it was going to be yet, but I wanted to do something. Um, if I ever get to that point and I do make a business, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure that it's 2% certified. So we formed the business in September. We started all the paperwork and all that kind of stuff, and we weren't allowed to start selling our treats until February. That's how long it took to get our registration and approvals and have everything sent to the labs and all that stuff. And in that time, I was on the phone back and forth with Jared about what I could do to get certified, things that would qualify as things as volunteer time and different ways that different ways that I could donate and all this kind of stuff. So once I called him up, we started talking. He loved the idea of the business, and he loved the fact that we were interested, and that I had been thinking about it for so long. Because it had been a couple of years, um, and then we got talking a little bit more, and I found out that there was no businesses in New York State that had been 2% for conservation certified yet. So right then and there, I said, "Oh, now I really got to do it." Whether I was just entertaining it or not, now I got to get serious because I could potentially have the title of the first business in New York State to be 2% for conservation certified. So we pushed it and we got it done, and we became the first New York State business that's 2% for conservation certified. Now there's one other now. There's another business, the Hunt Works up in Rochester. They sell they're a retail outlet, I believe, that sells tree stands and blinds and stuff like that. And I think there might be more in the works, but right now it's just us two. And I'm really proud to be the first one. And it was something that I wanted to do because I always want to give back, and even before the business and before the 2% certification, I did give back. It's just I never did as much as I wanted to. There was always something holding me back, whether it was time, um, you know, time or getting to a certain place, or not having the money at the time to make the donation I wanted to, or whatever it was. So part of it was that if I did this, it's gonna hold me accountable. That all right, now I'm talking about it, but now I have to do it because they're gonna make sure I'm doing it. You know what I mean? It gives me an excuse to get out there and do more and to give back more. And there's obviously some business pluses to it. It's a good network of people um, that I've met through there. I've met a lot of great people through there. Our mutual friend Gary Mares, he was been great since day one. Helped me out with a lot of stuff through there. Hooked me up with a lot of good people, and has been supporting my business since the first day I talked to him. So a lot of great things have come out of it. But to get back to what you were asking about why, like I said, it was just a reason to give back, something to hold me accountable and open up more opportunities to give back. Because I've always enjoyed the outdoor space ever since I was a child. Most of my friends were playing sports and all that stuff. I was riding my bike around town with a fishing pole on my back. Like that's what I was doing. Um, and just to be able to give back and help other people get involved and just repay Mother Nature as a whole for everything that I've gotten from it through my life is really the reason. And the kids, it's a good way for me to get the kids involved and giving back as well.
Jared's awesome, isn't he?
He is really, really cool dude. That's for sure.
Yeah, I love Jared. He's a former guest on the podcast here, and but have been fortunate to talk to him on the phone, multiple times over the last couple years. And he's just a ball of energy, and you can tell he's passionate about what he's doing, and it's great. I love him. I absolutely love him. And you mentioned Gary, former guest on the podcast as well. Another just someone who's just you know passionate about giving back in conservation, and he's the guy that connected us. And
Yep.
I can tell from talking to you that why he connected us was because you have that passion too. You want to give back, you want to be a driving force of good in conservation, and that's awesome to hear. The more I do this podcast, the more people that I meet that have that drive and want to be a part of the solution in conservation. And I love the fact that there's so many of us out there, and hopefully we can create a couple more. uh Kevin, before I let you go, I got to know, what are your hunting and fishing plans for this year? Like, what do you have any trips planned? Do you have any long weekends? Are you going to go weekend warrior style? I mean, what is it that you're doing this year to try to put some of that wild game on the table at home?
I haven't been out yet. The bow season here in New York, in my area of New York, opened up October 1st. I have not been out yet, but I do have a vacation day scheduled for Thursday that I plan on going out. So, gonna finally make it out into the woods then. Um, Basically, weekend warrior style. I got a good friend of mine that we hunt a lot together. We got some days planned, me and him, to go out some of our gun club properties. And then I got some days planned to go with my father later on in the season for the deer season. As far as deer hunting goes, that's really about it. I don't have any big crazy trips planned or anything like that. Just a couple days in the woods during bow season, then into gun season, and I'm hoping to finally get into ice fishing this year. So,
Ooh.
something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I've slowly over time been gathering a little bit of equipment here, a little bit of equipment there, and I think I'm finally ready to give it a go. I have no excuse because I can walk to the lake. So, and I finally have everything. So, I think I'm going to give that a go, and hopefully it's something I enjoy, and then hopefully it's something the kids enjoy.
Well, hopefully that walk to the lake doesn't end up a walk into the lake. Make sure that it's fully frozen, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, we talked a little bit ahead of time about some of the topics we were going to talk about, and I purposefully left this last one out because I want to
Uh,
get your just pure candid answer here. You have venison that you're going to, make for dinner or lunch or whatever it is that you're going to make this venison. What is your like go-to recipe? This is the one I love. This is the one that is just great.
you can't get any better than simple backstrap and a cast iron pan with some butter and onions. That's it. That's all. That's the absolute best dish, if you ask me. Nice and simple. Cut them about an inch thick. Fry them for a couple minutes with some butter and onions, and that's it. I could eat that all day, every day. That's my go-to.
That is something I hope to be having sometime soon here, as I have a couple days off here as the rut starts picking up in Pennsylvania, and I'm hoping that it will be successful. Well, Kevin, thanks for joining me. Good luck all this season, and good luck with the company. And thank you for being 2% certified. Thank you for giving back to conservation instead of just being greedy and keeping stuff for yourself. It's really appreciated. That'll do it for this episode. I want to thank you for listening, and I want to thank Kevin for coming on and talking about his history and his business and why it's important to give back to conservation. I really enjoy highlighting people like Kevin who really thrive in the outdoors, enjoy being out there, and realize that the outdoor space and wildness and the animals, they're not going to be there unless we give back, unless we do something to maintain them being there. And the fact that he has taken, his little business, that he pulls in some money and he's giving it back to conservation, not all of it, but he's given his 2% back, it's just awesome to see. And I feel like the reason why it's important to highlight these businesses is because we as consumers need to take responsibility in where we're purchasing what we need. And if we have the choice to pay the same amount or even just a small amount more for a company like Kevin's to be able to give back to something that we care about, we need to make sure we're taking those steps. It's something that I've put into practice, and I hope that more of us will put that into practice as well. Until next time, when I hope you can join me, get outside, take someone with you, and stay wild. Hey everybody, it's me again. Before I go, it's that time again to talk about Anchor podcasts. It's what we use here at Conservation Unfiltered. We can edit and record and everything right from our phone or computers. The hosting on Anchor is super easy. Distributes it to all kinds of platforms. So where you're listening is distributed out there. And it's all totally free, which is great. So download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. See you next time.